Greetings, fellow Mass Effect Multiplayer 3 enthusiasts from around the world. A long time no see, long time no hear, I guess. It's been a while, but I'm back for the time being, and in no small part due to the release of the patch and the new DLC. It's made the game interesting for me once again, and here I am doing another guide. Now, let me first say, before I proceed with the guide, that the reason why I'm doing this guide is not only because I think this class and this guy is cool, the Turian Havoc Soldier, but in light of the Turian Ghost Infiltrator, the Turian Havoc Soldier has gotten very little love. He's been almost neglected. No one talks about him very much. Everyone's talking about the Turian Ghost Infiltrator. And those of you who've known my guides from the past know that I like to show my love for less used, less popular classes that are nonetheless very good and lots of fun, so here I am doing the same thing. So, some love for the Turian Havoc Soldier. I really like this guy. It could be my favorite soldier class, I'm not sure. Maybe even more so than the Turian Soldier. Okay, let's get into it. So the build, quite briefly, is simple. Havoc Strike. You want to go for Evolution 4, Power Force. Then you want to go for Evolution 5, weapon damage, much like a charge. You want that extra weapon damage, 25% weapon synergy, like in charge. And finally, you want extra damage and force. The reason being is Havoc Strike, whilst you don't use it quite as frequently as charge, it's not something you constantly use. It's much more occasional. You want to have it in, basically, its sole purpose or its main purpose is to stagger and a form of crowd control. So you're using it to stagger enemies, set up headshots or shots in general, and you want to have at least 1,000 newtons of force. If you spec it this way, the way I'm suggesting, you'll have 1,200 newtons of force, which will be more than sufficient to stagger virtually everything and anything, even on Platinum, specifically on Platinum. So that's fine. That's the way you probably should spec it, but it's up to you. That's how I would suggest you do it. That's Havoc Strike. Then, regarding the stim packs, well, that's the meat and drink of this character, the stim packs. He is a drug addict. He's a junkie. Stim packs, stim packs, stim packs. I would certainly tell you to disregard Evolution for weapon damage, 5% damage. It's negligible. It's not that important. 40% shields, that's really good. Take that. Finally, there's a bit of debate between, well, myself and some people I play with as to whether you should take the duration or the extra pack. Even if it's one extra pack, I think it's better, and I'll tell you why. Because the way I play, the way I'm suggesting, and I'll talk about this in the strategy, you're popping the stim packs either as a get me out card just before you're about to die, or to give yourself an extra boost before you go into some reckless activity. So the more of it you have, the better, and 6 seconds is really plenty. More duration, I don't really see the point, because the more you have, the better. The more you can pop stim packs, the more you can stay alive. So that's why I choose that. And finally, I've tried melee builds out on this guy, and I won't talk about it here, but they're a miserable failure even on gold, in my opinion. They're certainly not that good on Platinum. So just go for the weapon damage. It's nice. So you get a massive shield boost of 2,800, and then, of course, in addition to that, 12.5 weapon damage. Added with the Havoc Strike, it's not too bad. The passive, my standard Turian, I go for max weapon and stability, so 4 weapon damage, stability, then headshots, and then the final evolution of weapon damage and stability, so that's 30% weapon damage, 55% stability. That's my suggestion. I don't think you need extra power damage, and if you're just carrying one weapon, the weight capacity is not that important. Moreover, Havoc Strike is not something you're just doing non-stop. It's much more situational, and I'll talk about that in a second. But so that's that. Cryoblast I skipped. I'm not talking about that now. However, my teammates played with 0 fitness builds, I believe. At least 2 of them did. So it's perfectly viable. I just think on a soldier, it's a bit risky to not take health and fitness. So I went for maxed health and shields. That's just my preference. Cryoblast is a great debuffer. We all know that. But I skipped it. So that's the build. Let's talk about the actual strategy. The Turian Havoc Soldier is arguably one of the tankiest characters in the game. He's certainly the tankiest soldier. Most of it is related to his drug addiction, namely his stimulant packs. These things are just fantastic. They really can keep you alive in situations where, I mean, you see in a couple of situations, especially towards the end, I'm just taking tons of punishment, just popping the stim packs. He basically is what I would call a frontline fighter. He's not a DPS character. You're not going to, I mean, unless you're Jay Hoxtatron, those of you who know Jay, he's probably maybe the best player out there, I don't know, who gets gold medal headshots halfway through the first wave. If you're not him, no, you're not going to get maximum DPS on this character. No, it's a tank character. It's a character that can take tons of damage and deal a fair amount himself. He has good damage capacity, but he's not a DPS character. That said, he is one of the few soldiers, probably the only soldier, that I would really consider a frontline fighter in that sense. Because the combination of Havoc Strike and stim packs, if you hit the stim pack and then go Havoc Strike, there's not much that's going to be able to take you down. The few rare situations where it happens are just weird, or sometimes you get hit by multiple rockets and bounced around, and yeah, that can screw you over, but no. So that's the concept. It is a frontline fighter who does a decent damage output. As you see in the gameplay, the strategy is quite simple. It is simply popping stim packs and firing my weapon, the Grawl. And you'll see in this video I've sort of rediscovered, or I've gone back to my first love for the Grawl. Those of you who know my earlier guides know that I've always endorsed the Grawl. It's a great weapon. It's very useful on this guy, particularly in Platinum, namely for the reason that I think a stagger weapon is very, very useful. It helps with crowd control. It helps against phantoms. So the GPS would probably be good as well, but it's always been my preference to take the Grawl, so that's another point. So, yeah. You're basically just running around, popping stim packs and shooting stuff. Havoc Strike is something very interesting. Unlike Charge, it doesn't regen your shields. You don't really need that because you have the stim packs, but it's really good crowd control. Sometimes it's a good get-me-out. If you need to res someone who's halfway across the screen, there's an enemy there. Just like Charge, you can Havoc Strike up to them and you'll be okay. You can get to your comrade who's fallen. It staggers almost everything, so that's really reliable. It staggers phantoms reliably. And it does a decent amount of damage. I think it's 1,000 damage with the evolution that I suggested. But the essence of this character is pretty simple. You're basically using your stim packs for survivability and a bit of damage. Strategically using Havoc Strike where it's justified. Unlike Charge, now initially I was skeptical of Havoc Strike, but unlike Charge, the good thing about Havoc Strike is that it's stim pack independent, meaning that Charge is directly related to whether your shields will be regenerated by Charge or not. With stim packs, you can hit stim packs before you do Havoc Strike. You can do it afterwards. So you have a lot more flexibility. Because of that, you have a lot more survivability. I think I would argue that the nature of the Havoc Soldier is such that you can Havoc Strike and into much more difficult, dangerous situations than you could with barring perhaps a Crow Guard, most Vanguards, and because of the stim packs, you could come out more or less unscathed. So it's a pretty simple strategy. Stim packs should be used in the following situations, in my opinion. You want to add a damage, or you know you're going to go in a situation where you're potentially going to receive a lot of damage. You hit the stim pack. The 6 seconds are plenty. In conjunction with Havoc Strike, then you might want to Havoc Strike in the situation. The stim pack will probably keep you alive. Alternatively, if you're about to die, it happens to me a number of times, you're really low on health or what have you, hit the stim pack, it'll keep you alive. It's not quite as good as an ops pack, but usually it's more than sufficient to keep you going. So you can basically use it in those two different situations. The first situation as an offensive power with the added weapon damage and just the added tankiness when you're Havoc Striking into a situation, or if you're about to get killed as a Get Me Out card. That can be very, very useful. Those are the primary applications for stim packs, and it's also the reason why I don't see the need for duration, for the simple reason that 6 seconds is plenty, and the more you have, the better. You're using them, in my opinion, and the strategy I'm suggesting in very specific situations, specific in the sense that either you're going to die or you want to use an offensive capacity. Running around just with a stim pack with an extra duration doesn't really seem to make much sense in that regard. A bit more about weapon loadout. That's really up to you, but I really would strongly suggest, in my experience, taking some weapon that has some kind of stagger effect, simply because it allows you to take full advantage of those, I would say, the reckless nature of this character. Because he's a frontline fighter, the Havoc Soldier, in my opinion, needs something that will offer the kind of crowd control that a frontline fighter needs. There are a lot of great, I've tested a bunch of weapons on him, the Hurricane, the Talon, the Claymore, the Wraith, the Raider. Great weapons, better on gold, I would say. But if you're being approached by the new group of enemies, for example, the Dragoons, who attack you like wolves, it's like a wolf pack, who have a no cooldown on their smash, I mean, not having any sort of crowd control is a liability, in my opinion. So, yeah, crowd control weapon would be great. There are other ones, of course. I haven't tested it, but I imagine the Falcon would be very good, although it would lack in DPS. The Grawl is, with the exception of maybe Banshees and Atlas, is good against everything. But yeah, there are a lot of potential weapons that offer crowd control. The Falcon is the one that first comes to mind, I think. It's usable by everyone, and it staggers reliably. But I think the point I'm making is that you want a weapon that synergizes well with the tanky, frontline fighter nature of the Havoc Soldier. And that's it's hard to do if you're using like a single-shot powerful weapon like the Claymore and you have a group of 3 or 4 Dragoons you're trying to deal with simultaneously. It kind of works, but it doesn't work as well as a Grawl that can stagger the enemy and hold the enemies at bay, or a GPS, for example, or a Falcon. In that case, might even be better because you have an AoE effect as opposed to a singular one. So a weapon that synergizes with that frontline fighter nature is up to you what you want to do, but I would suggest some weapon that you like using that has that kind of application. So that's pretty much the Turian Havoc Soldier in a nutshell. As I said, right now he's probably my favorite soldier class. He's a lot of fun. He gets the job done. He's not a massive DPS monster, but doesn't need to be because he's a massive tank monster. The stim packs give him tons and tons of durability that no other soldier class has. I mean, not the Krogan, not the Batarians, not even the Vorcha with their regen. So it's really, really a fantastic class, and I hope people take the opportunity to play him. I know everyone's big on the Ghost Infiltrator right now, and it'll remain a favorite for a long time to come, no doubt, but the Havoc Soldier needs some love. He's a great character as well, and he's a lot of fun to play. Nothing like Havoc striking into an Atlas surrounded by 3 Dragoons and coming out more or less unscathed. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's the guide. And feel free to post questions, ask questions, and I look forward to your views and responses. And in the future, there will probably be more guides forthcoming. So yeah, let me thank everyone for watching. And in case I haven't done that, let me thank my teammates. They're really great teammates, Lord Syrian, Fennicus, and Phoenix Reborn. Very, very good teammates, excellent players. Helped me make this video. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you all later.